The following program is produced by students of the Brian Lamb School of Communication at Purdue University.
This week on Fast Track, we'll discuss the closing of the Apparel Design and Technology program that has been at Purdue since the 1970s. We'll also learn about the newest addition to the Department of Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences.
Later, we'll get an update on the progress of bringing an Asian and Asian American Resource Center to Purdue. These stories and more are coming up on this week's edition of Fast Track.
Welcome to Fast Track. We're bringing you this week's show from Rawls Hall. I'm Don Kim.
And I'm Beth Stanley. Every year, apparel design and technology students spend hours in Matthews Hall labs in preparation for their annual fashion show. The event gives students the opportunity to showcase garments they have made throughout the year.
However, the program that has been at Purdue since the 1970s will no longer be accepting applicants effective in the fall of 2015. Fast Track sat down with students and instructors to learn more about the program's future.
A program that has been around since the 1970s is closing its doors. The Purdue Apparel Design and Technology program accepted its last round of freshmen this past fall. After merging into the College of Health and Human Sciences, the university has a new vision for the school.
That mission and just the words that are part of it doesn't fit directly with our design program. So I am planning to retire May of 16. Decisions had to be made, and so the administration of our college chose to phase out the program.
So what does this mean for current students in the program? While the structure of the class will continue to be the same, in the last years, the slowly decreasing number of students within the school means less diversity.
Losing some spark and some style, and that fashion show every year brings in a ton of money and people, and the PFA people get a lot of really cool people in here talking, and it just I don't know. I mean, there's going to be less people with colorful hair around now, I think.
They're going to lose a lot of diversity by doing this because we already have such a tiny little liberal arts thing, and by closing this down and then not allowing us to be absorbed into any other art program, I feel like we're the first of many to go.
And though the news has saddened both students and alumni alike, professors are glad to see that students are still willing to stick with their major.
But when we told the freshmen, and that's who we thought we didn't want to lose them, we wanted them to stay with us, and we didn't lose any of them. So it really made us feel good that they knew why they wanted to come to Purdue, and they wanted to stick it out until the end.
So as the Purdue Fashion Department prepares to close its doors, they're asking the community to come out to what could be one of their last fashion shows. Planning, designing, and sewing. Just a few of the preparations that start at the beginning of the year to bring the Purdue Fashion Show to life.
It's a year-long process, and actually for some kids it starts as soon as they come into the program. They start thinking about it.
Freshmen can enter something in the art gallery, which is outside the fashion show that people can look at before they go in or afterwards or something. Or they can put a piece in the show. And then sophomores do 2 pieces in the art gallery, 2 on the show, on the runway. And then juniors do 4 on the runway and 4 in the art gallery. And then seniors just do their collection, and then we have an art table.
Even with all of the work that is done throughout the year, the last week before the show is said to be the most stressful.
And this becomes their second home. I mean, they eat, sleep, and drink in these 2 rooms.
But when it all comes together, the reward is well worth it.
I have my family and friends all coming, and most people don't tell them really what they're making. My models kind of don't even totally know what they're wearing. So just the surprise effect and everyone's reactions.
In their faces when their collections walk, or when they've worked on a garment and put their whole heart and soul into it, and just watching their faces as it walks by.
This year's show will be April 18th at 3 p.m. in the Co-Rec. For Fast Track, I'm Beth Stanley. Well, the Christmas shopping season is well in the past now, and back-to-school season is still about 6 months away. But it's never been a bad time to think about getting yourself a new toy.
Today on Fast Tech, Jeff and Kyle are in the studio to break down their list of parts for a custom gaming PC for under $650. Let's see what they have in store for us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fast Tech, the first Fast Tech of the new semester. Today we're going to be talking to you about a sub $650 PC, a decent to good tier gaming PC that we have put parts together for. We had a budget of $650. We actually were under that budget quite a bit, but we think that we put the money into the parts that were needed. So we'll go through that right now, and as an added challenge for Kyle and I, we are going to try to do this in 3 minutes or less. Clock starts now. Okay, CPU. We have the AMD 8350 priced at $160. What do you think about it, Kyle?
I really like that it has 8 cores, but it's really affordable, and as games use more cores, it's going to really prove its value.
Motherboard. Any really random gigabyte motherboard, you can usually find them, usually a budget board for around to under $45. What do you think that you should throw in there in terms of a motherboard?
Really, at the budget level, they're all pretty much the same. Just make sure that it's got the plugs you specifically want, like USB 3. Really, it's just a wash overall.
Gotcha. All right, for memory, we threw in 16 gigabytes of the G-Skill Ripjaws X series. What do you think about it, Kyle?
G-Skills, I find, are really cheap for what they give because they're like gaming tier memory, but very affordable and still quite reliable.
And that's at $116.99 for 16 gigabytes of RAM. Right now we're at $321.98 at the price. For the hard drive, we picked the Seagate Barracuda 3 terabyte hard drive at $91.95. Kyle, what are you digging?
Now, while I don't usually use Seagate drives, I really have to admit they always push the boundaries of technology, and 3 terabytes at under $100, you can't pass that up.
For the video card, honestly, we skimped out a little bit. If I could redo this, I'd probably dump another $50 to $70 in the video card, just because I feel like it's necessary at this point. While this is kind of an outdated chip, it will do for most games. So for the video card, we have the Asus Radeon R7 260X. What do you think about the card?
I think that it has a pretty good price performance range, and it'll play most games. I mean, in the future it might be a little weak, but at the price in that range, it's going to play everything, at least as well as the consoles.
Okay. So for the case, cases are like mostly personal preference. If you think they're cool, if you want the window, if you want lights, if you want bells, if you want whistles, gigantic, tiny, they really come in all shapes and sizes. We personally picked the Deep Cool Tesseract PC case. What I like about it is it looks freaking amazing. It's got a front window. It has one fan in the front, one fan on the side, 2 already built in with the window on the side with the blue LED lights. So that case ran us about $43.98 with the total bringing us to $564.90 right now. For the power supply, I picked the Coolmax ZX600. What are you digging about that?
I think that it's got a lot of capacity for the price, and that's good because in the future you might want to upgrade and you'll already have room. You won't need 600 watts right off the bat, but eventually you will.
So that's $34.99 for that. Right now we're at $599.89, so we're well under our budget. Just for the hell of it, we threw in 2 optical drives, a DVD and CD writer, 2 of them in case you want to copy and burn. They don't really use CDs that much anymore,
but hey, they're really cheap. Why not?
Exactly. So we have our build there. I mostly did this because I really want one. I don't have the money for it. I have like negative $3,000 in my bank account, but I can dream, right?
And this is one way to do it.
Exactly. All right, everybody, for Fast Tech, my name is Jeff Webb. With me, as always, is Kyle Timmerman, my best friend, my partner, and my spiritual guide. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys. After the break, we'll learn more about one of Purdue's newer majors, planetary science.
And later, we'll visit the latest meeting of books and coffee, a 60-year-old Purdue tradition.
We are all Boilermakers, but we're also much more. We're history makers, exploring the farthest reaches of our universe, often when strapped to a rocket. We are hope makers, rebuilders of Haitian cityscapes who ensure they'll now withstand any disaster. We are difference makers, developers of drought-resistant crops that just might end world hunger. The fact is, what we make moves the world forward. We are Purdue, makers all.
I am an American.
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 That's the way most of us put it. Just matter of factly.
They're plain words, those for. You could write them on your thumbnail or sweep them across a bright autumn sky.
But remember, too, that they are more than just words.
They are a way of life.
So whenever you speak them firmly.
Speak them proudly. Speak them gratefully. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am poised under pressure. I led Purdue to a come-from-behind victory in my first start. I am focused on the field and in class. I draw inspiration from the cradle of quarterbacks. I am Rob Henry, and I am a Boilermaker.
The Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at Purdue started a mission to add a planetary science program in 2009. The program has since been added to the department, name which is now Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences.
The program allows students to study the history of our own planet, as well as continue Purdue's involvement in the space program. Fast Track reporter Joseph Bauer has more on the story.
Some of you may remember taking EAS 109, Thunderstorms and Tornadoes, or even may have recently seen the EAS acronym still on top of the syllabus for some EAS classes. But planetary science has been added to the Purdue department, and professors will be the first to tell you it's been in the works for a while now.
A couple of years ago, we added a very prominent planetary faculty member, Jay Malash, who moved here from University of Arizona, and he basically helped us start a planetary program.
Dr. Jay Malash, who's been in the department since August of 2009, has done a lot of work to get the department to where it is today.
In starting planetary science here, the first thing that I did is start hiring people. I had negotiated with the university the ability to hire 2 people besides myself, because a program is not one person, it's a group of people. And I'd done some research on other successful programs and worked out roughly the minimum size, which is about 6 people, and the number of focus areas, which is roughly 3.
Planetary science really pulls in many of the other branches of science, making it very multidisciplinary.
That's a really cool thing about planetary science, is that it uses everything from chemistry to physics to biology to engineering to get our projects done. And so the curriculum reflects that, and that you can really study, you can focus in many different areas. There's a planetary geology focus, there's a planetary atmospheres focus. You can also focus more on space exploration and the engineering side of things and missions, or planetary physics, which is what a lot of our faculty here do.
The field of planetary science has its fair share of excitement.
So one of the really cool things that's happening here at Purdue is we're actually involved through my research group in the Mars 2020 rover, which will be launching in 5 years or so. And right now we're helping to choose landing sites where the rover is going to go. It's actually going to do sample returns, so we'll get our first, eventually get our first samples back from Mars with this rover. And so it's a really, really important mission.
Undergrads Rachel Maxwell and Ellen Shaplinsky are also very excited about the new program.
I really like being able to do research as well as my classes.
Yeah.
We both do research with Professor Horgan, and it's just a great opportunity to be able to do research as well.
There are a number of resources available for students in the Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences department. A few of those include their very own library, as well as a brand new student lounge.
There are a number of resources available to students in the Department of Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences. One of the newest would be our student lounge, which is just to my left, and it's an opportunity to give the students a quiet place to study. There are computers, they can meet other students there, and just feel like that they're home with a quiet place to study.
Now, for one looking into majoring in planetary science, it's important that you get your hands on as much math, physics, chemistry, and coding experience as you can. Planetary science is a very multidisciplinary field, and to get into it, it's going to involve a lot of research, and it's really going to point you towards graduate school at the end of the program. One thing is certain, though, regardless of any program you get into here at the Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Science at Purdue, is it's going to prepare you for the next step in your career. Reporting for Fast Track, I'm Joseph Bauer.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll come back to you later for a look at the weather.
Books and Coffee has been a traditional event here at Purdue for 60 years. Each Thursday this month, book lovers will meet to hear guest speakers discuss the book of the week and enjoy some refreshments.
Those who attend may also enter to win prizes that include books and sweatshirts from the local merchants. Fast Track reporter Sharon Kai has an inside look.
The 65th Annual Books and Coffee Series will be held each Thursday in February 2015 from 4 to 5 p.m., sponsored by the Department of English and the Purdue Student Union Board.
We've been doing Books and Coffee since 1951. It's a program that the English department does with the Purdue Student Union Board, so it's a collaborative event.
Each week will feature a different book and guest speaker from the Purdue faculty, beginning with The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, presented by the Associate Professor of English Education, Melanie Schaffner, on February 5th in Stewart Center, room 306.
The book is chosen by a committee, and then the committee reaches out and asks different professors to speak too.
The other events will be held in North Ballroom in Purdue Memorial Union.
I see books as a reflection of issues and concerns of society, so it's a great venue for discussing things that concern us today.
Books and Coffee start to serve refreshments from 4 to 4:30. People can engage in a formal conversation, have a cup of coffee or brownie.
I notice people mingle, move from table to table. They might have an opportunity to talk to someone they haven't spoken to in a while, start having conversations about the book.
The presentations start at 4:30. Audience are not required to read the book in advance. Books and Coffee helps to bring people together from cross-section of the community.
And so it's an opportunity for people to gather across groups that they might not necessarily. So instead of just talking amongst other students or among other faculty members, you can have conversations that might cross your normal groups.
It's open to undergraduates, graduates, faculty, staff, and larger Great Lafayette community.
It's open to the general public. We sent out a press release. It's in the newspaper. Anybody can come. In fact, we encourage everyone to come.
Partly seeing friends that I don't see all the time and talking about the book for a moment here and there. We brought our copy along and we lent it to some other people to read because Melanie got them spurred on to want to read it. So partly that sharing, that intellectual sharing.
Books and Coffee provide an opportunity to gather readers together to have discussion about the books.
I can't believe it's been going on as long as it has. I think Venetria said 1951. I think it's wonderful. I mean, it reminds us on a campus that's very technological and engineering focused that there are other things that are also important, like reading books and gathering together to talk about books and having, a bit of coffee and a cookie so that you can enjoy talking about literature.
Reporting from Fast Track, I'm Sharon Tsai.
Coming up, we'll head out to the Shorts Tennis Center to see how the men's tennis team is doing so far this season.
We'll also learn more about the development of the Asian and Asian American Resource and Cultural Center.
Later, we'll head back to the studio for a look at this week's weather forecast.
I am an American.
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 That's the way most of us put it. Just matter of factly.
They're plain words, those four. You could write them on your thumbnail or sweep them across a bright autumn sky.
But remember, too, that they are more than just words.
They are a way of life.
So whenever you speak them firmly.
Speak them proudly. Speak them gratefully. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
We are all Boilermakers, but we're also much more. We're history makers, exploring the farthest reaches of our universe, often when strapped to a rocket. We are hope makers, rebuilders of Haitian cityscapes who ensure they'll now withstand any disaster. We are difference makers, developers of drought-resistant crops that just might end world hunger. The fact is, what we make moves the world forward. We are Purdue, makers all.
That we do, and we try and you, yeah, you. Have you ever dreamed of being on TV? Well, in the Brian Lamb School of Communication, we do more than that. You can learn about camera operation, lighting techniques, live TV shows, real client PSAs, weekly news productions, and more. For more information about the video production programs, visit our website or the advising office.
The Purdue men's tennis team is young but full of talent. After losing many of their starters in the past 2 years, a new wave of players has stepped up to lead the team for the upcoming season.
The team is looking to make it 2 years in a row with a winning record in the Big Ten, while also trying to increase their national ranking. Fast Track reporter Ethan Carlson visited the Schwartz Center to bring you an inside look.
The Purdue men's tennis team had their first matches of the season on January 19th, with a 6-1 win against Eastern Illinois and another 6-1 win against IUPUI. Head coach Pavel Gajcek liked a lot of what he saw from his team.
We have first 2 matches of our season, so definitely we are very rusty coming out. But what we saw was the grit and determination to win. We had a very young bottom of the lineup with our players, and it was great to see their determination to win the points and finally come for us through with big wins in the position that they were in.
Last season, they finished with a 15-8 overall record and a 7-5 record in the Big Ten, which was the first winning record the team has had in the Big Ten since Gajcek took over in 2009. Unfortunately, many players from that winning team graduated after the season.
We did lose almost 5 players in the last 2 years. From the starting lineup, we have 3 last year, which were pretty much pillars of our team. So, like I said, we're going to bring a lot of youth, a lot of unexperienced, but also a lot of talent to the Big Ten.
One such talented player is the 84th ranked player in the country, sophomore Ricky Medinilla, who won all of his matches on the day.
I think the first match is always really tough. We're all a little rusty. We haven't played like for almost six months, I think, since the last season. So always the first match is pretty tough, but I think we made a pretty good job with that. We got the 2 wins, so that's good.
The number 3 singles player on the team, junior Mateus Silva, was also successful in each of his matches.
I thought they were a good beginning for the season. Like, we have a young team, like no experience, so I thought it was good, like 2 wins. I thought like the team was good, like everyone put a lot of effort. Like we had a guy on the team that was injured. Like he was injured on the arm, like he played through it. It was a good match, I think. Like especially the second one, like we were a little bit tired second of the day.
Every player on the team has goals they want their team to achieve throughout the upcoming season, as well as individual goals in their pursuit of becoming better players.
Bottom line for that team goal is to make NCAAs, and once we're there, well, we believe anything can happen, but once we're there, we want to make Sweet 16. Individually, I want to make the NCAA tournament. I'm not that far. I'm like 20 spots away, so that's my goal for this season.
Our team goal was to make the NCAAs. Like since we have a young team, like that was our goal, like the main goal. My individual goal is to be ranked. Like last year, like I was like 1 game away from being ranked, so like this year I expect to be.
Well, obviously our main goal is to come back and be participating in the NCAAs. We do want to come back and play kickoff weekend next year, which is the NCAA Indoor Championships unofficial, which will give us a great opportunity to compete against some of the best teams in the nation. Positive record in the Big Ten is always a plus, but climb the rankings. And if this is the season that we're kind of rebuilding, we want to stay in the rankings and improve as much as we possibly can on the court.
Reporting for Fast Track, I'm Ethan Carlson.
Thanks, Ethan. The push for an Asian and an Asian American Resource Center has been ongoing since 2012. Students circled a petition in hopes of bringing this additional cultural center to campus.
The center would serve as a home for Asian and Asian American students, as well as educate the community about the culture. Fast Track reporter Maggie Jang sat down with the steering committee to learn more.
As one of the most diverse universities, Purdue has been working on the diversity of students. After Black Culture Center and the Latino Culture Center settled on campus, Purdue now is working on Asian and Asian American Culture Center.
So to support the large Asian and Asian American population here at Purdue, we really wanted to have something that would have the institutional support to support this large population. So several years ago, a friend of mine and I, as undergraduates, we formed a group of undergraduate students, graduate students, faculty, and staff to reignite the efforts to get a cultural center that focuses on Asian and Asian American students and issues, to really have that institutional support that they were lacking despite our large numbers.
Graduate student in comparative literature, one of the Purdue 5 students who moved the world forward, Yuhan Huang, is also playing a role in this cultural center. She shared that the trip to UIUC encouraged them to build a cultural center for Asian and Asian American students at Purdue.
We were surprised that after research, all of the Big Ten universities, except Purdue, even IU, they have an Asian American cultural center, but we don't have one. And we have such a huge population of Asian and Asian American students. We were so confused why we don't have a center here and why we don't get represented.
After their trip, they started building up the cultural center at Purdue.
After coming back and in the process of last 2 years, we've met with Purdue University administrators, and we've also come up with a concept plan that hopefully one day will realize, and we are really looking forward to the opening of such a center at Purdue.
Students with Asian backgrounds are having good response in this news.
I was born in America and I grew up in China, and I had my high school here, so I've been experienced all different kind of culture in my life. I think it's a great opportunity for the student here to have this Asian American Cultural Resource Center. Not only for the local student, but also for the international student. They can either learn more about their Asian culture back to their homeland, or more about their American life here. So for example, next week will be the Chinese New Year, and then they can have their own people together, their own group, and celebrate their own events.
More details will be announced officially. In the next couple months, Asian and Asian American Culture Center will be welcoming everyone to enjoy the beauty of Asia culture. I'm Maggie Jiang, reported from Fast Track.
Thanks, Maggie.
Meteorologist Joseph Bauer is back in the studio with a look at the weather for this upcoming week.
Thanks, guys. Joseph Bauer here in the Purdue Weather Lab. We've certainly been talking a lot of cold weather throughout the week. Not any precipitation right now outside. We're looking at mostly clear conditions Thursday night as I'm recording this outside the Union. And boy, temperatures this week have just been unbelievably cold. I mean, for February so far, we're about 8 degrees below normal. Last February, if you remember, we were 11 degrees below normal. And so we're really not that far off last February. But, I mean, just check out some of these lows. 4, 0, -4 for Tuesday through Thursday. It's just been bitterly cold if you've been out there in the morning, even in the afternoon hours. Way below normal. Normal low is 23 for this time of year. Just crazy. Way down there. And temperatures throughout the region would also show that as well. We see a sharp gradient setting up over the central United States here and really just cooling off as you head north and east and warming up as you head south and west. So definitely if you're looking for a good spring break trip, I would recommend heading that direction. Surface analysis here. High pressure has been really in place for a couple days now, and that's really what's been bringing us this cold air around the high pressure into our region. That's going to be shifting to our east coming into this weekend, and as I look at your night planner here, we're going to see temperatures a lot warmer here. 19 degrees if you're heading out at 7 p.m. Slight chance of snow, just with some energy passing over us aloft, and 22, 24, and by the time you're waking up, it's actually going to be warming up as we see some southerly winds bringing us some of that colder air because we have a system approaching. And when we're looking at these systems kind of forming at the surface, we're looking at what's going on aloft, and you can see here this sharp band of winds that's setting up aloft. This is way up in the atmosphere, and that's what's going to be aiding the formation of this surface low that's going to be affecting us during the day on Saturday, bringing us some snow showers is what we're looking at right now. And so you can see that behind me here, some snow working into our area. This is about Saturday afternoon now, and a good snow swath is going to be starting to set up, potentially bringing us 2 to 4 inches, as I'm going to show you here at your short-term forecast. So 32 degrees for your high on Saturday. It'll feel warm, but we're looking at precip, 2 to 4 inches is what we're thinking now. Like I said, Sunday, just a chance of those coming down, but we'll see. Take a look at your 10-day or your 5-day forecast here. Not too bad, but keeping with the seasonably cool.
Thanks, Joseph. That's all the time we have for this week's edition of Fast Track. I'm Don Kim.
And I'm Beth Stanley. Join us again next week as we take you through more stories around Purdue's campus.